Light is a cheerful teenager who has always dreamt of becoming a successful adventurer so that he can give his family a life of luxury. To achieve his goal, he leaves his small village and heads to the city to register as an adventurer. But things are not easy for him. In this world, the goddess created 9 races, and humans are considered the lowest among them. As a result, they are always at the receiving end of racism, and Light experiences that as soon as he steps foot in the city. A beastman adventurer rudely tells him to get off the road, and Light can only apologize even though he wasn't really blocking his way. Anyway, once he reaches the guild, he registers himself as an adventurer, and the receptionist tells him that newcomers like him receive the F rank initially. She asks if he has a gift that can play a role in his assessment, and Light eagerly affirms. He tells her that his gift is called Unlimited Gacha, and he can basically pull stuff out of his ass. Since explaining is not enough, Light decides to demonstrate and summons his Gacha device, which he immediately activates. The Gacha rolls out a fork card, and as Light releases the card, a fork materializes on the table. However, the fork is all bent up, and Light panics. He tells the receptionist that things usually work out better and immediately uses his skill a couple of times, but the result is similar. He pulls a rotten apple and a moldy bread, which makes the receptionist convinced that this loser deserves nothing more than F rank. Light gladly receives it and then asks her if there are any jobs he can take right away. The receptionist points him towards the bulletin board where all the easy jobs are posted, but Light gets nervous just upon seeing that. The receptionist realizes that Light is illiterate on top of being a loser. But that part is not a surprise because humans have low literacy rates. She tells him that he can do the basic stuff like carrying rocks and gathering wood, but that pays a lot less than other jobs. Light accepts that, and after a day of working his ass off, he manages to get enough money to rent a room. He still needs to rely on his gacha skill for food, but he is confident that he can make it. However, a gang of beastmen has another plan for him, and they stand in his way deliberately so that he bumps into them. Their leader immediately begins yelling at Light for bumping into him and getting his clothes dirty. Before taking away his purse, Light panics, asking him to return the money because he won't have a place to stay otherwise. But the Wolfman simply punches him away, telling him that he needs to pay for his laundry. The beastmen leave Light lying in a puddle of mud, and everyone who passes by tells him to sleep in the dirty slums with the rest of the humans. Light feels really hopeless at this point, but then suddenly, someone stretches a helping hand towards him. He instinctively takes the hand of the pretty elf in front of him, but realizes 1 second later that his own hand was covered in mud. Light falls back, apologizing to the elf for dirtying her hand, but she tells him that it is fine. She assures him that she won't hurt him, but years of racism and discrimination doesn't let him believe that. To prove her point, the elf woman suddenly kneels down and hugs him, and Light is left speechless. Even as the people on the road mock the elf for stooping so low for the sake of a human, she helps Light back on his feet. Behind the elf, there is a group with people from different races, and they introduce themselves as the party named Concord of Tribes. They explain that they are a party formed with one member from each species that the goddess created, and they were missing a human. The beastman Garu introduces himself first, followed by the elf woman Sasha, who tells Light about the rest of their members. There is Drago the Dragonute, the Demon Diablo, the Oni Ubero, the Dark Elf Sion, the Dwarf Nano, and the Centaur named Santor. Guru says that they were just looking for a human to complete their party, and then Sion adds that they created this party to end racism and create a world where everyone is treated equally. Light finds this too good to believe, but he can't pass up on such a wonderful seeming party, and he gladly joins the Concord of Tribes. Soon, they start going on adventures, and Light is the weakest link in their team. He needs to be rescued from monsters by Drago and Sasha, who tell him to be more careful as one hit from the monsters will kill him. Light apologizes for his carelessness, but Sasha begins to examine him for injuries while telling him to stay behind them at all times. The rest of the party begins to tease Sasha because she is low-key obsessed with Light and cares about him a lot, and she turns red as she explains that she only sees him as a party member. Light feels useless because he can't do anything apart from carrying the luggage, but Drago tells him that he makes delicious tea, and that is good enough for him. Light is really happy to hear this, and he cheerfully follows the team deeper into the dungeon. Soon, they come to an open space with only one entry and exit, and the party members look at each other before deciding that this is the perfect place for their plan. Unaware of what the plan is, Light begins preparing to brew tea for everyone when Drago approaches him and tells him that he is being fired from the party. Light can't even process that statement and asks what did he even do to get kicked from the party. and the beastman Garu tells him that he is being fired because doesn't do anything. Everyone tells Light how useless and stupid he is, and even Sasha acts disgusted at him. The rest of the party start throwing insults at Light and the human race. Light thinks that this has got to be some kind of prank, but they tell him that no one has got free time to play pranks on a worthless piece of trash like him. He asks why they were behaving so nicely with him till now in that case, and they reply that it was just acting. Drago tells him that their superiors noticed his gift, Unlimited Gacha, and thought that he could be a maestro. That's why they ordered the Concord of Tribes to keep a close eye on them. But once they determined that Light's gift was worthless and he couldn't be a maestro, they gave the signal to dispose of him. Sasha is the one who is most relieved that they no longer have to keep Light around, because if he was actually a maestro, she would have to marry him, and just the thought of that creeps her out. Light can't understand what the word maestro even means, but then Drago says that they have told him more than enough, and they need to finish him off before more adventurers come here. Garu immediately apes Wolverine and draws his metal claws, using them to slice Light's face. Only now does Light realize that he is really in deep shit, and there is no way out of this problem. In his desperation, he runs away as fast as he can, and the racist bastards laugh at him, saying that they are not going to let him get away. Sasha shoots an arrow through his leg, and as Light falls on the ground and starts screaming, the racist elves say that hearing human screams is like music to their ears. Garu decides to make Light scream some more and begins assaulting him, but Drago tells him to stop because they need to make it look like the human died from a monster ambush. Garu obeys his orders and gets ready to finish him off, but Light crawls forward, desperately clinging to his life. Suddenly, the ground beneath him starts glowing and Light realizes that he is in the middle of a teleportation circle. Drago notices it too and orders Garu to finish him off quickly, but before he can reach Light, the teleportation circle does its job and takes him away. However, the situation doesn't get much better for Light even after he is saved from the backstabbing traders. The teleportation trap takes him to a random location in the dungeon, and he knows that the moment a monster finds him, he is dead. He begins to remember his family as he wonders what did he do to deserve being betrayed. He thinks about how nicely everyone treated him before they decided to backstab him. He now understands that their kind behavior was just an act, so he would completely believe them, and they showed their real colors at the end. He is really furious and channels his rage to become a reason to survive. He gets up, swearing that he will get revenge on those bastards and tear them apart with his own hands. Well, before he can throw out more cuss words at them, Light hears a low growl coming from behind him, and as he turns around, he finds a level 1000 monster glaring at him. He freaks out on seeing the monster because it is something straight out of a fairy tale. Light realizes that he was teleported to the lowest floor of the dungeon, and he low-key had a better chance of surviving his party than this monster. As he wonders how can he even fight the monster, his thoughts wander to his gift Ultimate Gacha, and he decides to take his chances. He begins pressing the Gacha button repeatedly, and then suddenly, his ordinary gift transforms into something beyond his wildest imagination. A giant magic circle appears below him, and the Gacha device starts undergoing a power-up. Light doesn't understand anything, but just as the monster leaps on him, the Gacha roll is completed. A level 90999 maid servant appears out of it and demolishes the monster in an instant. Everything is over before Light could even blink, and then the aura farming maid starts walking towards him. She kneels before him and instantly heals his wounds, telling him that she could not bear to see him silky smooth skin being injured, so she healed him without asking for permission. Light can't believe that he is perfectly fine now, and then the maid asks him for his name. He introduces himself as Light, and the maid gets really happy on learning his name. She pledges by the maid's code of honor, swearing to serve him till death. Light tells her that it is all cool, but she should at least give her name first. The girl introduces herself as May, the ever-seeking maid, and tells Light that she came from a super ultra rare card in his unlimited gacha. Well, Light refuses to believe that a level 999 maid would come out of his worthless gift, but May asks permission to use her appraisal skill on his gift, so read the finer details. He immediately grants her the permission, and May uses her sharing to find that his abilities are hidden under a very strong concealment, and anyone below her level can't even see them. She tells Light that his ultimate gacha is much more useful than he thinks. The cards it rolls highly depend on the mana density of his location, and as it turns out, there is another rarity class beyond May's super ultra rarity. May explains that the mana density of the surface is really poor, but in the depths of the dungeon, the air is full of mana, which allowed her to pull her. She commends Light's bravery in coming to the depths of the dungeon alone to unleash the full potential of her gift, and he tells her that he is a loser who couldn't even get near the dungeon on his own. He begins crying as he tells her how his party betrayed him in the dungeon. He starts whining and about how they promised they wanted to create a world free of discrimination just to trick him, and then swears to get vengeance on them. May suddenly hugs him, saying that she can't understand what he has been through, but she will do whatever he wants, and destroying the bastards who hurt him won't be too difficult for her. However, Light tells her that she can't do it, and it is not because he is kind. He just wants to get revenge with his own hands, but it is not possible right now because he is too weak. He swears that he will make all of them suffer before killing them, and May kneels before him again, telling him that if he wants to grow strong enough to get revenge, she will help him with that. She tells him that she believes in his potential, and Light can only thank her. However, he is not satisfied with just one overpowered baddie in his harem and decides to use the mana-rich environment of the dungeon even more. He uses his unlimited gacha again, summoning more high-class maids so that he can create a kingdom that will serve as the base for his grand revenge. 3 years pass by since that fateful day, and now Light rules over hundreds of maids inside a palace that he made for himself. May is always by his side as she promised on the day that she met him. All the maids seem to be totally smitten by him as they cheer him on, happy to be noticed by him, while May tells them all to behave properly. He gets out of the castle and starts moving towards the local market where everyone recognizes him as one of the vendors calls him over to his place for breakfast, while some others tell him about the shortage of snack foods in the country. Light promises to deal with the problem soon, while May tells him not to worry with such small tasks as she will make sure the logistic problem is rectified as soon as possible. Light realizes that he will have to create a new system for dealing with the logistics since the population of this place has increased several folds over the last 3 years. He asks May where are the rest of his legendary summons, and May replies that Yuki the Beast Tamer is busy crafting maps of the area near the dungeons, scouting the forests for any trouble. Light thinks about all the monsters roaming around in the forests, but knows that they would pose no trouble to a genius beast tamer like her. May continues by claiming that Ellie the mage is hard at work, trying to create the special magic in line with his grand plan. Light wonders whether Ellie will be able to deal with this, since there are so many complexities in the magic spells that he asked her to create. Light asks after Naz the vampire knight, who is excellent at close combat, but a little bit of a dumbass in other areas. May replies that she gave her the job to patrol the castle grounds as that would keep her from using her empty brain and getting herself into any sort of trouble. Light doesn't mind her though, since she makes things more interesting around the castle. Soon they return back to the castle, where Light ends up being called by Jack, the last of his 4 legendary summons, who asks whether Light is ready for some training. May seems a little annoyed and tells Jack that he should address Light by his proper pronouns, which is master. But Jack is a true Sigma who doesn't believe in this feminist bullshit, so he completely ignores her. Light tells May that it's fine since he considers Jack to be an older brother, and tells May that he thinks he will go to his training session with Jack now. Inside the training ground, they both get ready to spar when, with a burst of speed, Light rushes towards his summon, punching him straight in his washboard abs, pushing him back with his surprising strength. Jack seems to be pleased with Light's power, claiming that any normal adventurer would have died if he got punched like that, but he can take it since he is built like a tank and can absorb a crazy amount of damage. They meet in the middle of the ground once again with punches colliding before they back off. Light follows it up with a barrage of strikes, which Jack dodges. Meanwhile, Naz is still patrolling the corridors, bouncing her empty little head, when she is greeted by some of the other maids, who start sweet-talking her, claiming that they all feel safe since Naz is always there patrolling, and making sure that there is no danger lurking around the corner. Naz becomes overjoyed, which is what the maids wanted, as they decide to play a prank on her as they suggest that she should go and make sure that Light's bedchambers are secured and nothing wrong is going on there. Naz thinks of it as a terrific idea and heads towards the bedroom. But when she tries to open it, May emerges from within. Naz asks May what she was doing inside Light's bedroom since he must be away at training at this time. May immediately starts blushing, claiming that she was trying to clean the room while he was away. Naz tells her that she must check the room for any danger, but before May could tell her off, Naz enters the room and notices the bed being all ruffled. She empty-headedly claims that it looks like someone was on the bed sniffing the pillows and rolling around, and asks May whether she made it look like that intentionally. May decides to use her dumb brain to her advantage and confidently claims that it's her special bed-making style. Naz gets impressed by this and asks whether she can learn how to do that as well, but May refuses, claiming that it's a special trade secret which she can't reveal yet. With that, Naz remembers that the maids wanted her to give May their message as well, so she takes out a parchment and gives it to May, who realizes that the other maids are revolting against her for monopolizing Light's bedroom and never letting them clean it for a change. May tells Naz not to worry about it, as she will deal with the maids herself, and even gives Naz some spare change to keep her mouth shut, which she happily takes and walks off. She immediately heads out to the market and starts looking at all the food items she can get from the money, but finally decides to try out the fluffy pancakes alongside some fresh milk. With that, she happily marches off once again back to the castle, where she finds Yuki sitting atop a balcony. She asks Yuki whether her work inside the forests is done, and tired of Naz's crap. She shows her that she has already created the map that May wanted and is back to deliver it. Naz congratulates her and returns back to her patrol duty before entering the throne room. Once inside the tacky area, she starts screaming her heart out, since there is no one around to stop her. After that, she jumps on the throne itself and starts messing with it when she accidentally breaks one of the wings of an angel statue. Scared of May, she immediately puts it back haphazardly and runs for her life straight out the throne room. Back inside the training ground, Light and Jack continue clashing, when Jack suggests that they be done with the day and hit the baths. They soon move towards the bathroom, and once inside the giant bathtub, Jack praises Light for learning all the skills so quickly, claiming that he is strong enough that most of the creatures in the dungeons would be child's play for him, which means that even few can challenge him on the surface, but warns him that there are still some who would want to completely destroy him the first chance they can get. Light gets serious as he thinks about the betrayal he faced 3 years ago, as he claims that he won't be done till he gets his revenge. Back in May's chambers, she calls in the 4 troublesome maids and asks what the hell is their problem as she reads their letter back to them. Once in front of May herself, the 4 maids are shut silent as they don't know what to say. They apologize to her, claiming that it was just their way of showing support as they know May is overworked. May tells them not to worry about her work and focus on their own. She denies their request to clean Light's chamber and instead punishes them by giving them the order to clean the hallway that leads to the throne room by hand. The maids are surprised by this, claiming that the hallway is too long, but May tells them to keep at it, as it will keep them busy while she is out with Light on a mission. Back outside, Naz is stuck to the window of a shop, eyeing a gauntlet that she wishes to buy, but has no money to do so. While there, she ends up bumping into Ellie, who asks what Naz is staring at, and Naz points at the gauntlet before asking Ellie why is she back so soon, since she is supposed to overlook the new construction which is happening. Ellie replies that the construction is going smoothly, so she decides to sneak a break in. They soon end up bickering about who is closer to Light and who is more important, as Ellie tells Naz that she is involved directly in the revenge plan that Light is crafting. Unlike her, Ellie also claims that she recently had a lovely evening where she shared a cup of tea with Light where they discussed their progress, and claims that the next time they meet, she will set up a private dinner. Naz claims that even she wants to have tea with the master, before telling Ellie that she is at close quarters combat, so if she ever wants help, she can look her up. Ellie smiles and tells her that she will surely cash that in someday, and with that, Naz returns back to her brainless duty. Back in the castle, the 4 maids are busy plotting against May, claiming that May is no better than the angry little mustache man from Germany, wondering whether they should go behind her back and snitch on her to Light. But they think better of it, as none of them want to suffer her wrath. One of them realizes that Light cares about May so much because she was his very first summon, while the purple-haired one claims that it took Light the next 2 months to finally summon Yuki, which means that they were all alone together in the dungeons for 2 whole months. They get incredibly jealous and start rolling around the floor and doing weird out of jealousy, before deciding to do some voodoo magic as they sit on the table and chant die so that May can be taken out of the equation. Unfortunately for them, May ends up overhearing all this and enters their room, cornering them once again. The maids immediately start apologizing, claiming that they were all just a little jealous and never meant anything that they said. May tells them to stop fantasizing about weird since during the months between her being summoned and Yuki being summoned, Light was busy learning every single thing he can about magic and practicing every single martial art he could try, so they never had time to do anything else. That relieves the maids a bit, while May claims that she came back here because she felt that she had been too hard on the maids, but now she realizes that apparently she wasn't. so she tells them to clean the throne room as well, since they have enough time on their hand to practice voodoo magic. Completely at May's mercy, the maids had no choice but to follow her orders as they cleaned the entire throne room as well. They decided to keep their mouths shut this time to avoid getting in further trouble. But while dusting the throne, the green-haired idiot ends up knocking the piece of angel wing which was broken by Naz. The piece falls to the floor, and the maids get horrified thinking that it was their fault and wondering what May will do to them. The next morning, Light enters the dungeon only to find Naz, Ellie and Yuki already waiting for him. He bids them good morning while Naz and Ellie already start bickering. Suddenly, though, a monster emerges from the shadows, and suddenly Light freezes as he realizes that it's a hellhound. He knows that he is much stronger than before, but the trauma from that day still haunts him as his blood dries up every time he sees the beast. His party, however, has no fear, as they all get enraged at the fact that the hellhound got Light all upset. Naz gets ready to chop it into small pieces, while Ellie asks for permission to eradicate the entire species of hellhounds from this world, and Yuki wonders whether she could somehow find hell and push this monster directly into the deepest pits. Just their aura sends the monster whimpering back as it realizes just how outmatched it is. Light, however, calms his party down as he regains his composure and slowly moves towards the monster. Giving it a pat, he knows that even if he gave the order jokingly, his legendary summons would actually eradicate the entire race from the world. He then turns towards them, claiming that they need to move towards the surface as they are going to begin their plan of revenge today. Back on the surface, the beast folk bow down to the furry who was the part of that party which betrayed Light and left him for dead. He seems to have been raised to a local celebrity as people literally beg him to hook up with their sisters. He walks alongside his cronies like a total boss when he notices a human child sniffing through garbage to find anything he could eat. The furry is a huge racist though, and for no reason at all decides to throw the kid away, telling him to run off and never be seen in this area again if he cares for his life. The other beast folk cheer for him like idiots, but the sound dies when he enters the tavern. He selects the best seat and tells his cronies to order as much stuff as they want since he has made fat stacks which he needs to spend before the IRS raids him. While humans are starving outside, these furries get skewers of meat loaded on a huge tray. They all praise him for becoming an idol for all the beast folk, even though he himself was born in the gutters and rose from the slums to become the leader who everyone wants to follow. He tells them brazenly that it's not so easy to become like him, since he has mastered the art of persuasion, and since beast folks are instinctually born followers, he just needs to exploit that properly, and then he can live like a king. He claims that the most important part is to sort out the jobs and decide which ones are profitable, and which ones require a lot of effort for not so much money and power. One of the idiot furries asks him whether the job he handled 3 years ago with the Concord of 12 party was a profitable one. Another furry scolds him for asking questions, and the wolf beast tells them that unfortunately the Federation that hired them has made them swear to secrecy, so they can't really divulge any information about that. He remembers how that was the cushiest and the best paying job that he ever accepted, since all he had to do was kill one useless little loser of a human kid, and now he is rich and famous. It does bother him, though, that he never figured out where the portal led to, but he doesn't think that there is even a sliver of chance that Light could have survived it. He wonders what exactly this maestro was which the Federation was so hellbent on finding, but he feels a shiver run down his spine, which means that digging the matter deeper could be dangerous. His thoughts are broken by a beautiful girl who turns out to be May, when she interrupts them and asks whether they can talk. She asks whether he is the Garo, the leader of the beast folks, and he takes a sip from his glass before nodding his head. May lies to him that she was the maid of Master Light, who belongs to a family of noble descent. Garo is shocked to hear that Light was a member of the nobility and wonders whether it would have been more profitable for him if he kept him alive. May continues to lie by saying that she has been searching for Light for the past 3 years, and all the information has led her to this country, where he was last seen with a new party. Garo replies that he was a member of that party and Light was indeed with them, and this makes May's eyes well up, as she lies that she heard Light perished in the dungeons and was never seen again. Garo nods, claiming that it is the truth. Light met an unfortunate and died, but May asks him whether he could take her to that location, as it would bring her some solace to find the place where Light was last alive. Garo rudely asks what's in it for him, and to his surprise, May puts down a bag with 3 solid gold bars in it. The cronies around him are shocked and speechless, but Garo controls his expressions, as he wonders whether this is some sort of a trap, or does this girl really just want an escort to take her into the dungeons. He decides to go with it though, since he believes that one singular human girl can't even touch his hair, let alone pose him a threat. Garo finally takes her to the dungeons with all his cronies as an escort, and after several hours of walking, asks May whether she is okay. May looks exhausted, but smiles, claiming that she can still walk. Garo thinks about how all these amazing jobs seem to fall in his lap, as he is going to take all the gold from her and ravish her on top of Light's grave. Finally, they enter the cavern where Light was discarded and left for dead, and Garo tells May that this is where Light met with an accident. He lies that a group of monsters got the drop on them and Light never got the time to run to safety and was slashed up to pieces and was then caught in a teleport trap, after which he was never seen again. May falls to her knees, crying while Garo thinks about how inferior these humans are who can't even sense when they are in danger. His cronies start taking their positions, blocking the only exit out, while he continues heartlessly lying about how he tried to save him, but wasn't able to. Just when he was getting ready to attack, May's voice changes as she claims that only the most vile creatures on Earth could mislead a pure-hearted person like Light, bring him into a grimy dungeon, and then betray him. She looks around, knowing that if she came into Light's service a bit earlier, he would have never been kicked, shot in the leg with an arrow, and beaten to an inch of his life. Garo immediately feels the threat and jumps back, wondering how the hell does this woman know about all this. His cronies look confused as they don't know the true extent of this. But Garo knows that the only people who could know about what happened are the 12 members of his party and some of the nation's elites. He demands to know who she is working for, asking whether she is a spy being sent by an enemy tribe. She scoffs at him, claiming that she only works for Light and now he will face her wrath. Just the energy erupting from her is enough to scare him, which is a surprise even to himself. He reminds herself that she is just an inferior human who is good for nothing but using and then throwing off, but she sends chills down his spine just by looking at him. He realizes that this is not a joke, as his instincts are telling him that he will die if he fights her. Before May could finish them off, however, Light's voice comes out of the dark corner as he tells May to calm down, as he will deal with Garo all by himself. Garo refuses to believe the voice that he is hearing, but Light finally reveals himself, greeting Garo as if they were long-lost friends, claiming that he is here to pay him back for what he did 3 years ago. Garo immediately seems to gain his confidence back, as he laughs, claiming that he never thought he would see Light again, and mocks him, telling him that a level 15 puny human can do nothing against a level 150 raid boss like him. He laughs, as he tells him that he has no idea how the hell he survived, but now he can kill him with his own hands and bring his body as proof. Light lets out a sigh, asking whether he is not even curious about who May is and how strong she is. Garo accepts that he has no idea how strong his little maid is, but he is damn sure that puny humans could never compare to beast folk like them. He boasts that all of his cronies are above level 130 and they will simply steamroll through them. With that, he gives the command to attack, and 2 of his underlings immediately dash towards Light, ready to end his life, but within the blink of an eye, May appears in front of them and their heads fall to the ground at one place, while their lifeless body drops to the floor. She warns that anyone who tries to threaten Light will lose his head, but Light tells her to back off and simply block all the exit points since he wants to get involved in the fun as well. Garo's boys seem to be losing morale, as they can't believe what they just saw, but Garo tries to steady them, claiming that it was just a cheap trick that she used and nothing else. Light asks whether he still truly thinks that humans are inferior to them, and has he ever considered that maybe the human race is the strongest among all the races. Garo laughs at this, flexing his level, but Light replies that level is just a number, and it has nothing to do with how strong someone can be. Garo has heard enough though, and alongside all his cronies, lunges in for an attack. But to his surprise, Light stands there still as water before suddenly exploding into a counterattack, blocking and hitting every single dog, knocking them down on their asses, out of breath. Light walks up to Garo, asking whether he still thinks humans are weaker, but Garo can't accept this humiliation, so he pushes through the pain and jumps up once again, claiming that there is no way any human could match him. With that, he rips out a magic crystal from his pocket and smashes it on the floor, summoning his familiar, who turns out to be a level 500 wolf monster. Light asks whether that's all he could muster up, but Garo thinks that Light is just too stunned and scared to respond properly. He tells Light to start begging for his life, but Light simply stands there, telling him to attack, promising not to move a single inch from where he is standing. Garo gets enraged and orders his beast to fire a blast at Light, so concentrated that it could wipe an entire city, but as the dust clears, his jaw drops to the floor. He spots Light standing still, just like he said he would, without a single scratch on his body. Light mocks him for giving his attack such a fancy name when all it did was kick up dust for no reason. Garo is left speechless, while his cronies start pissing their pants. Light claims that now he is going to attack and decides to pull out a card as if he was in Yu-Gi-Oh! He releases the level 9000 ultra rare card of the Primal Wolf God, which appears behind him all shiny and translucent, leaving the furries shocked beyond any reason. With that, Light tells the Wolf God to kill Garo's familiar, but instead of firing a super strong blast at them, all the Wolf God does is let out a soft breath. The power within that breath crystallizes Garo's wolf and shatters it to pieces right in front of him. While he stands there helpless, Garo finally loses it, unable to believe that his level 500 wolf monster got demolished within a second. But Light claims that he could have dealt with the monster himself if he wanted to as well, and to prove that, he reveals his true level, which turns out to be maxed at 9999. Garo stammers and shakes as he claims that this can't be possible since humans max out at level 100, and if Light was really the same human from back then, he would have grown up a bit during this time. Light reveals that he is using an age ring to stop his physical growth because he wants to remember himself and the day when he got betrayed by the worst scum on earth. Garo realizes that he is done for, and has absolutely zero chance of ever defeating the monstrosity that Light has become. He knows that he is dead meat, so he does what any coward would do and throws down his weapons, apologizing to him for what he did, claiming that he was forced to do that because of the Federation. He claims that even today he had no intentions to harm anyone and was going to tell the truth, but his cronies made this plan all on their own and dragged him into it. His underlings can't believe that this is the same person who was showing off his skills and strength just this morning. He bows his head down and begs for forgiveness, and even agrees to be his personal pet if Light wants. Light, however, doesn't care and simply asks him what exactly is a maestro and why is the government so hellbent on finding him. Garo honestly replies that he has no idea who it is, and the government simply told them that it is probably going to be a human. Light then asks why they decided to kill him once they thought he was not the maestro. Garo immediately bows down, claiming that he seriously has no idea and they just got the order to do so. Light turns his attention towards the cronies and asks whether they have any information. To save their skin, the underlings all start claiming that they have the information that Light wants, but May uses her special eye to see through their lies and cuts them down to pieces, spilling blood everywhere as she claims that anyone who lies in front of Light will die at her hands. He then turns towards Garo once again, asking whether he has any chance of winning if he went to the surface and waged war. Garo honestly replies that he is extremely strong and could take entire nations alone, but once the nations band together with all the weapons that they are collecting, then he might have a hard time dealing with since he is only one man with a maid. Light smiles, claiming that he wants to show him something and uses teleportation magic to transport them to his own throne room. Garo is shocked to the limit of becoming mentally deranged as he sees the army that Light has amassed, with the lowest pawn being level 1500 with 4 level 9999 maids and countless others ranging from level 6000 to level 9000. Garo is unable to speak as a tear drops from his face as he realizes that Light could wipe out the entire planet in the blink of an eye, which basically makes him a god, and wonders what would happen once the war is waged. But that's where this video ends. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.